You are now listening to The Great Paranormal Debate with me, Kerry Ann.
And don't forget me, Paul Rook. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Friday night. It's now 8 o'clock, and that only means we are about to launch The Great Paranormal Debate. I'm joined by Kerry Ann. Kerry?
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
And you recovered after the last weekend?
No. Is the it's a short answer. It is really, I don't know whether it's because it's like one of three things. It's been a long time since I've been investigating, and a long time that it's been since I've been up till about 5:30 in the morning.
Yep.
Either that, I'm getting old, right? Or the combination of the two, or I'm just really, really crap.
I was gonna say you wait till you catch up with me. I'll tell you.
Oh no! Do you know? I was even posting like, any advice? Anyone can help me with this? I've got the biggest paranormal hangover, and I tell you, thanks to my friends on Facebook, I've ate a plethora of chocolate. Does that even go together? Have I used that word correctly in that instance? I don't know, but I've ate a lot of it.
Yeah, it means a lot. So yeah.
I've eaten a lot of that. From the advice from my friends.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
The sugar and stuff.
I'm not sure if it quite works, but yeah, give it a
try. I was having fun. I was having fun, at least, making the effort. Chocolate in all the different types of forms. I enjoyed it. I'm
surprised Kerry Greenaway didn't say about, I don't know, taking a few crystals. Two crystals in the morning and cooler in the afternoon or something.
Take these 2 times a day. No, you're not allowed to eat them. But I have got some crystals that I've nicked one of her crystals. She gave me one on the night. I carry it with me. I end up putting them in my bra because you're meant to keep them on you, and that's just where I wear them. And I didn't give them back. I've got one. Sorry, Kerry, I've got it. I'll give it back to you. But she gave me tourmaline, and it helps ground you. It's been such a long time since I've been out investigating, and I love to work with energy, which is what I do when I'm out on an investigation. But I knew it'd be, it would drain me because it's been such a long time I'm not used to. It's like a muscle, isn't it? If you don't use it, kind of, so yeah, I'm definitely out of shape.
You lose it.
Don't lose it. I'm amazing. What you're talking about, but definitely takes it out of you. So she gave me this crystal, and it did do a good job. I kept going till I think, what time did we finish? About 2:30, was it?
It was about 2:30. Yeah.
Yeah. So I kept going and we arrived there for about 8, I think 7, 8, but we couldn't find parking. But so it kept me going all night.
Well, for those of you that don't know or don't remember, we went to the True Crimes Museum in Hastings. It's an interesting place. Very interesting.
Oh, I loved it. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight, isn't it? Instead of our story.
Yeah, and because obviously of what it is and the energies that you're talking about, it was a good idea to have the crystals to ground you and protect you and stuff like that, because you're dealing with people that were murderers and victims and the high emotional states that could be connected to these items. So it's quite a good idea to do that. So what did you think of it? It was a brilliant place.
Well, it was. I didn't expect it to be caves. I will say that. I don't know what I was expecting, but when you think museum, you think of, concrete walls, concrete floor, which kind of what it was. But very cold, and I don't even. It wasn't what I was expecting in regards to a museum. It was really, really straight away. It sets the mood because you go into the doorway, so to speak, and you can turn off either left or right. And when you go into it, straight away you're going into the tunnels. So you got that enclosure, all of a sudden becomes very dark and quite enclosed, and it kind of is really great atmosphere setter. The items there are absolutely amazing. I was blown away by some of the bits that they had there, the stories. You know, we were lucky enough, a team member, Tara, who is like the murderer's encyclopedia, walking, talking, mate. She knows it all. And she went through everything with us, and it was amazing, really amazing. Loved it.
Yeah, there are quite a few things there.
Was you going to say plethora?
No, I wasn't going to say plethora. No, there are a lot of things there, and we're talking. You had Amelia Dyer's bodice.
Mm-hmm.
There was also a replica of a skull. I can't think of the girl's name now. Lizzie Borden. Lizzie Borden attacked her parents with an axe,
Yes.
I believe it was.
Yeah.
And you had replicas of the parents' skulls there. You also had the death mask of the Resusciani doll.
Yeah. You also had what I found really fascinating, and I didn't see it until we were leaving actually. Which there was can't remember the man's name now, but he was found in a suitcase, and when they actually found him, I think they found him in water, Thames, I want to say river. But when they actually done an autopsy, he had someone had basically shot him with a nail gun in the head and the neck, and they had the actual X-ray of what it looked like, and it looked like a nail bomb had gone off. That's what it looked like.
Yeah,
it was
I remember
really,
someone saying that.
Yeah, so we had that, and then you had the drawings that were actually done by the murderers, and one of them in particular was made in real blood. There was a lot of artifacts and information and articles connected to the craze as well there.
I think that was quite a new thing, that one. I don't remember it there before because I've been there a couple of times. You also had the hangman's noose in death chamber. You had a bath that was used to dissolve bodies of people.
It was a hitman, wasn't he?
Is it Haig? John Haig? I can't remember. It's more Tara's thing than mine, really.
Definitely Tara's. Definitely, she knew ins and outs. So you wouldn't even have to. She wouldn't even need to see what you was pointing at. Just know what direction you was in. She could tell you exactly what was there, who done it, why they done it, what went on, what day it was, whether it was raining, whether it was snowing. You know, it was amazing what she could tell us. But yeah, because also in that, because it was a room of murder, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And in there as well was the where they done the lethal injection, wasn't it?
Yep, that's it. They had one of the gurneys that they would strap people to and give the lethal injection. And when we was there before, one of our team members was actually leaning up against the metal fence there, and she got a sharp pain like the top of her chest. And when she came out of that area to have a look to see what the pain was, she actually got scratched by something, and it come up in blister. It blistered in 3 different places, and it looked like a triangle. You could draw a triangle between the 3 blisters. Yeah. That was really quite a strange one, that was.
God, that is strange.
But,
so we never had anything like that, but we did have, because we had our medium on the night as well, and there was lots being picked up by the medium as well. But we did have some, I think it was the spirit box by the bass.
Yeah.
I think we had some activity, but you'd had that before, hadn't you, when you went there?
Yeah, and I believe it was Tara as well, Tara's group, that they were talking. They claimed that they were talking to Amelia Dyer, and when Tara asked about how she killed the children, it came over that she used some tape. Now, Tara said to me at the time, I thought they used ribbon and not tape, but it does turn out that it was more of a lace tape rather than a ribbon or anything like that. So it's interesting that it come out of information that could have been checked, was checked out, and came out quite accurate. So
yeah, especially information that wasn't known prior.
Hmm.
That's really good. That's really good.
And because it's in into chalk caves as well, it limits the amount of radio waves going through there anyway. So again, that was quite interesting. Just get that on the ball on the ghost box.
Yeah, that is. So while we're talking about this, I mean, the reason why this place is it's got so many different layers of energy in there is because there's got so many items, actual items that belong to people that were committing the crimes and the murders, and there was a lot of victims that were killed or by or on or with these items. So why, just for those that might not know, what is it? What's the association? Why would there be spirits attached to these items, or why would that be?
I think it could be possible that it's using the stone tape theory, and it's just because the emotion was quite high at the time of their death. Maybe they could have been still alive when they were. I don't know too much about the murders, but it's possible that, like for example, the bath. For example, the guy would chuck people into the bath. Were they completely dead? When they were melting away there. So that you would have had that high emotion, or maybe the spirit weren't too far away when that was happening if they were dead, and they just sort of attached themselves to that bath. And so when obviously the item is now in the museum, you've got that residual energy connected to it. So you'd probably do that with the other artifacts as well, like the bodice of Amelia Dyer, for example, as well. It's part of her clothing, so she might have a connection to that. Well, she has got a connection because it's hers, but you'd have that connection there.
Yes, I can understand. I can understand that being the case. It's just for those that may not, you'd like to think that when someone passes away, that the spirit would move forward to a better place, and not be trapped in that environment. And it's just, why does that happen? And that does make sense if something's got a lot of, high impact, high energy, high emotion. And also, I mean, when looking at certain studies and theories, that when there's been a passing that has happened in such circumstances, that it's been documented that the spirit will come back to the body, even come back to the body. So
with the museum, I would have thought that a lot of the energy is residual and obviously connected to the items. Now, that being said, because obviously you're using the stone tape theory, that being said, when you get results like when Tara was having this conversation with the alleged Amelia Dyer, you was actually talking to her spirit, and it was giving intelligent answers to what she was asking. Now, I believe that was really the only spirit that came through that night. So it sort of throws that stone tape theory out the window, really, because you was getting intelligent answers. So she, in effect, she was pretty much there. So could that connection to her body sort of allow her to come through? I don't.
Yeah, especially
I don't
maybe
know.
if she as well. I mean, well, I wasn't there. I don't know if you were, but especially if she was called upon as well, maybe.
Yeah, I mean that could have been a possibility, because I mean I actually wasn't there at the time and I didn't witness it. So I've only got Tara's and the guests' report on what happened, but they didn't actually specify whether they called her directly. But they just said that they were near the bodice at the time. So yeah, I mean maybe it was almost like a direct line to Amelia Dyer through that connection.
It is fascinating. I mean, that is what we go there for, is to find communication, and in particular, evidence of life after life. What is after, and if you can communicate as such. But when you do get intelligence responses to questions, and I mean, because I know that Alan, for example, who was with us on the evening, I know that he had some communication going on with Daisy, I think, another team member, around the same area as well, and he seemed to be asking questions that he seems to have got a response to and then follow it up with another question. So maybe, and it was in the same area that they had it before as well. So it'd be interesting when the evidence is reviewed, if there is more, that might be a little hotspot.
I do remember some of the questions he was asking, but it was interesting. So I think because he was filming it as well, that makes it a little bit more credible for me, because I could actually sit there and I can see what they were doing at the time. But I've not actually reviewed that because Alan takes a little bit of time to get the footage back to me, but I'm sure he will just as soon as he can, and I can then review that and have a look.
Yeah, I mean, I do like Alan with his footage, because he's very thorough, isn't he? Bless him.
He is, and he gives out his own opinions as well. And when we went to Kelvin and Hatch for our sleepover event, he came on that, and his video footage was very invaluable, really, because we caught a few things on that night that we wanted to go back and explain, and he actually arranged with Kelvin and Hatch for us to go back the following Monday to do our own private little investigation to try and recreate and explain a few things that went on that night. And through his video footage, we was able to recreate some of it, so we could debunk most of what went on. But there's still one or two bits that we can't explain from that.
Yeah, so it always is good as well to be able to go back to a location, and when you're reviewing evidence, to kind of see if you can debunk it. That is good, and it's good that you was able to do that with the help of Alan and his evidence taking. But we did have lots of different experiments going on in the evening as well, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. I spoke to Kerry Greenaway about her crystal grids, because I thought that might be a good idea, because when we was there last time we did get some activity going on, but I thought if there was a chance that we could boost that, then we should really go for it and see whether or not we can. So I believe Kerry put up 3 crystal grids. Is that right?
Yes, she did 3 crystal grids, 1 in each room, and then she had her amethyst point, which was on the electric chair.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah.
I remember that, and I don't know whether or not it made too much difference, but I mean we still did get activity, don't get me wrong, but I don't think it was any more or less than what it was before.
Right, okay.
But I mean, I'm not knocking it, and I'm not saying that it didn't work, because it could have been just one of these dud nights, and the crystals helped boost it enough to rival what it was last time. I mean, we didn't get any shadow people last time, where some of the guests reported that this time. So I think it could have helped. I'm not dismissing it, so I'm definitely happy for her to do it again at other locations and seeing if it does actually make a difference, because I'm really quite fascinated by them actually.
They always look beautiful first and foremost, but it is also fascinating watching her build them and then charging them, and kind of, she does it in such an amazing way. I mean, I'm used to it because I've always worked with Kerry, and there's always something she's done, but yeah, it is. It's good fun watching her. And I've already mentioned that I work with crystals and paranormals nowhere near to the extent that Kerry does, so I enjoy working with them. So I'd always say that if you have the opportunity to do it, and it's good to see as well, if it does make a difference. Like you said, it could have been a bit of a dud night and it heightened it, or it could have just been that it didn't really have much of a difference. But either way, it was interesting.
It was, and even some of the guests asked what they were for, and obviously I know that they're to boost the energies, but I mean, all the different crystals Kerry's got, and it's just amazing that she actually retains all that information to tell you exactly what each individual crystal does.
Yep.
It's brilliant.
It's not even just each individual crystal, but every shape, every cluster, every raw, every polished. Honestly, it all means something different. So, for example, if you was to have a pyramid, for example, that would be, I don't even know if it's called a pyramid, but it looks like a pyramid, is something would be used in a different way than a tumblestone would be. And so she uses all that information and puts it all together and creates something that's really beautiful. And it's used to kind of manipulate the energy to heighten it. So it's like a pump, like an EMF pump kind of thing. And it's like a natural way of doing it. It doesn't really, as far as we're aware of, interfere. I think there's one crystal she says may do because of what it's contained with, and she avoids that. But they don't interfere with other pieces of equipment either. You know, so it's a natural way of being able to manipulate the energy and kind of allowing it maybe for a manifestation of some type when it comes to spirit. But I mean, we had, I know in one particular area in the cinema room, we had some mediumship going, and there was an energy of a man that was able to it was quite difficult at first, but you know, as time went on, we got some information that we was able to validate names and kind of how he would kill his victims and stuff like that. But when it actually come to doing something in a way of getting, so at this point we were trying to knock him. So we had this man who was like, okay, could you do some tapping or something? And we never got it. It never happened, which was quite frustrating. But what was good was that once that had happened, there was validation there from Tara, who was able to actually say before, you know, she allowed that to happen, and then she said, okay, now I can tell you what I know about who I think you've got. There was another one as well of a lady who kept counting to 4, and after she spoke to Tara, she then was able to validate, you know, back when these tunnels they had multi-purpose, so before they were the museum, they were actually a place for the townspeople to go when the tide was too high. Is that correct?
I believe so, yeah.
So
I don't
it was
really
like a marketplace.
Oh, right, okay, because there wasn't much history on that, but I could actually understand that. I could go with that, to be fair, because it is sort of, if you sort of demolished all the houses that were in front of the cliff, you would have had all these little caves. So I can understand that. Well,
as this lady kept counting, this spirit that was, she was counting to 4, kept counting to 4, and she come from one direction. So she come in from where the murder room was.
Yeah.
She come in from that just before the bath, so it would have been on the right hand side in. And when it was spoken to, Tara said, well, actually, there was an incident back in the Victorian times where this woman and her boyfriend or something, she wanted him to, I think she said she wanted him to murder someone to prove that he loved her. And he had until the count of 4. And he'd run into the caves and hid in the toilets. And she come in looking for him. And she ended up being taken away, and she was admitted to the asylum, and she died there. But she said it makes sense, the fact that this woman's come running in, counting to 4, kept counting to 4 all the time. So there was bits like that was happening, but in regards to energy work, more than there was with equipment other than, you know, what we've already discussed, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we did even try the Ouija board in various parts of the tunnel system, and I don't think we really got that much come through.
We got one incident, didn't we, with when Tara and I think Kerry was using it.
Was that in the death chamber?
No, that was in the room with the Essex boy murder jeep.
Okay, I don't know. I wasn't there for that one, I don't think.
Oh no, you weren't. Was you there? Yeah, you was there.
I was in the other room. I think I was in the other room.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we got a bit through that. We got a lady come forward, and she was saying that she was a victim. She's very angry. and that she wasn't British. She would come over here for work, I think it was, and that she'd been strangled. We couldn't quite pinpoint if there was any items in the room that was connected to her, but she come through quite strongly on the Ouija board. So yeah, that was really, really fascinating. But yeah, I think that was Tara that did that. So it was really, really good. It was good.
And shortly after that, we done the human pendulum experiment, did we not?
We did. That was my favourite.
It was good.
We had a few people have a go, but the really good one, which is what I think is actually, I think it's been filmed as well. So it'd be interesting to watch that back. Actually,
it was. I think Alan's camera, because I think we moved it around to get the whole thing going on.
Yeah, we did. So we had Liam, his team member, isn't it?
Yeah.
I always like to pick on the men. I tell you why, because they're the ones that, I don't know, I just get the feeling from men, they tend to be the skeptics.
Yeah.
And they tend to be like, this isn't going to work. Do you know what I mean? Because the human pendulum is basically allowing someone to go into a type of altered state, not really an altered state where you go so deep, and because that's not something we really advise anyone to do in that kind of environment, but kind of relax, and how a spirit would manipulate a pendulum, we ask spirit to do that to a person. So obviously in a safe, okay, Paul?
Yep.
In a safe environment. So we did this with Liam. Now Liam's, I'm only 5'3", 5'4". Kerry's the same height, I'd say, 5'5". Now Liam's got to be easily about 5'11". He's a lot taller than us, isn't he?
He is.
And he's a big
towering
boy.
Over you.
Yes. So he's like, come on in, you can come in the middle of me and Kerry, is what we often call Kerry sandwich. And he stood in between us, and we just, asked him to kind of relax a little bit. And we asked for spirit to move him forward for a yes and back for a no, I think it was. So anyway, he started relaxing, and he started a little bit swaying, where he'd gone quite, relaxed. And whatever was with him kept trying to turn him. Me and Kerry had to keep grabbing him. So in the end, I've had to kind of put my hand underneath his arm. I don't know whether I hurt his ribs. I think I did at one point, because if I didn't stop him, we would have gone over.
Yeah.
And he kept wanting to turn to another part of the room. So we kind of made him aware of himself a little bit, moved him forward, and it turned out that he actually validated. He gave us an initial. He gave us initial of the first name, initial of the last name. He told us through the yeses and nos. He was confused. He was in London. That he would do killings for other people. That he had some kind of association. When we asked him, "Is there an item in this room that belongs to you?" he turned himself, and I was like, "Where are you going?" But once we managed to go over, we kind of brought Liam into the room where he kept trying to go to.
Yeah.
One of the other team members, they were standing by a cabinet, and everything that was being given, she was able to say, "This is who you're talking about." I think his first name was Francis Davison or Davis. Yeah, and it was really, really good. Really, but we'd have the video. I think we're going to get the video for that as well. So, but again, you've got to make sure that you're in a safe environment, and you're around people that you can trust and stuff like that.
Absolutely, and I think I was saying on the radio show the other day that it was almost like, to watch this experiment going on, you have a natural sway anyway, but it was almost like when it came to it, it was more than a natural sway, and it was like some of these people were looking as if they were literally shoved in one direction.
Yeah,
and
because
it was quite strange. It was quite good.
They'd have to stop themselves. Some of them, I think one person in particular, she's gone so far forward that she's put her foot out to stop herself from falling forward. So, and she obviously didn't anticipate. Because if you go,
like
you
false,
don't.
Isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is. You obviously, it's like that trustful. If you're going to just let yourself go, you're not gonna throw yourself down and then put your foot out, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really fascinating, a really good experiment. I do enjoy doing those, I do.
Yeah.
But then, you know, I think everyone's a little bit different, and it's always good to try and get energy up. And yeah, I
Well,
enjoyed it.
on that note, I'm going to play a quick break, and we will be back very shortly.
The T-Files here at Parasearch UK Radio, discussing hauntings from around the world, the facts and the hearsay about each case. Was it real haunting or an elaborate hoax for monetary gain or fame? Listen and discuss with me, Terra Palmer, here at the T-Files.
Join Paul Rook live at 9 p.m. for the Trident Paranormal Show, where he will be discussing and explaining everything from the strange, weird and the paranormal myths and legends. From fact and fiction, we have all on the Trident Paranormal Show.
Join Jay and Teresa Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. with their paranormal hindsight from across the USA, only on Parasearch UK Radio.
Join Richard Clements on Thursday nights at 10 p.m. for the Mystery Hour, only on Parasearch UK Radio.
You are now listening to The Great Paranormal Debate with me, Kerry Ann.
And don't forget me, Paul Rook. And welcome back. Now, what we've been talking about tonight so far is the True Crimes Museum investigation that we done Saturday night, and it's just a wonderful place. Don't you agree?
I do agree, but I tell you what, it's got me thinking. So I know we've been talking about the True Crimes Museum, but it does. I do like locations that have a really kind of deep history. Something like you said with the Stone Tate, something that where something so high packed kind of energy kind of situation happens that you do have the residue there, and you do have that kind of backstory. I think it gives it that, you know, an investigation, a different kind of perspective.
Yeah.
So the Lizzie Borden item that we had there. Now, I'm putting it out there to the audience. I would love to speak to someone who has actually investigated Lizzie Borden's home.
Yeah.
I would love to do that, because that is one location in America that I would, you know, is quite fascinating. So, is there any items in that museum that really kind of that you find quite fascinating, or would like to know more about in regards to an investigation?
I mean, not as such, because I mean I've obviously gone to the museum a couple of times now, and you know I've gone through the whole museum, but I think that some of the things that I find interesting, the Amelia Dyer bodice, specifically because of the activity that we got over the ghost box, and I also like that death chamber as well.
Oh no, I don't know. Do you know what? Everyone that went in there said the same thing, that they just felt so uncomfortable, really intense. It was really quite heavy in there. It was a lot darker than the rest of the room, don't you think?
I do, and I don't know what it is, but maybe I was just an executioner in the past life or something. But I did actually like going in that chamber. Or maybe it's even that, because obviously I know that the last person in there from last time was the one that got scratched. Maybe it's that as well. I'm like, come on then, bring it on. If you're going to scratch people, do it to me. But
Yeah,
nothing ever happens like that. And, you know, it's just getting a little bit of clarification of what's going on in there as well. So, I mean, that death chamber is the one I find the most interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, not because of the articles that are in there, because all that's there is that obviously you've got the bed, the bath, and a hanging rope. And that's...
It's the association, though, isn't it? It's like, well, you think that they actually were items that took lives. I know the rest did. Well, there was like association to that. I mean, you had bullets and stuff like that in the building, but in that part, you knew that they had taken lives.
Yeah,
and it's that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there isn't much in there, but I don't know. I just find that the most interesting, maybe because of the activity that has been in there before, and I want, obviously, the whole reason for doing the investigation stuff is because I want to see something going on, and that's probably the best place in there to actually get that activity going. So maybe that's the reason I like it so much. I don't know what it is, but yeah.
No, I do agree. I do enjoy it. I did enjoy it. I found it very fast. I think it was because there was so much there. That it wasn't just one kind of story behind it. There was lots of levels of energy in there because there were so many different items. You had the reconstruction of the Essex Boy murders. You had, you know, guns, knives. You had dog fights. You had riots. You know, you had real artwork that, you know, had there. You had there was also the skull as well in that room. You say there was 3 items in there. There weren't. There was 4. There was a skull.
Yeah, there was a skull.
So that was where they actually wanted to see. This man, they wanted to see whether there was something in someone to make them a murderer or a rapist in this situation. And they wanted to experiment on his brain and kind of have a look and see whether there was anything different in his makeup than there would be on anyone else. And it turns out that actually, no, there's not. But they've actually got his skull in that room as well. So again... the energy in it is so sticky, but then I don't know whether it's because of the fact what's in that room, that could make you feel that way, because you're in the presence of not so nice things, the whole museum as such, but that room in particular. And also it's kind of it's got these big butcher flaps that you've got to walk through, isn't it?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do get in the way a bit, don't they?
But I think that as well adds to it, because any light that, natural light, there's not even natural light, but it just makes it feel a little bit more smaller. It just makes it a little bit more intense. You don't want to be that close to these items because of what they are, but you're literally face to face with it all. And there's Shatara, who would take a bath in that bath, I reckon.
I think she would.
I think she would.
I mean, also, on a more personal note about the artefacts that are in there, because I also do the St John ambulance, it's actually quite nice to see where the face of Resusciani, because it was a death mask of a young girl that was fished out of the Seine River, I think it was, in France. No one knew who she was, so she was obviously listed as Jane Doe. But yeah, they just took the face mask, because that's what they done of people in that era, and it's just the basis of all the Resusci dolls. And yeah, it's quite an interesting story as well.
See, I heard a different version of that. I heard that it was her dad that found her and wanted her to live on, so that's he'd made the death mask of her.
Well, they used to make death masks of everyone that died, basically, and I don't even know why or what they would do with them.
I was going to say, yeah, it seems really strange. So,
but then
what era would that have been?
The Victorians were quite eerie people anyway, because they'd have family photographs taken of the dead, not necessarily in their coffins either.
No, and it would be sometimes the only family photo that they would have, or the only time they had a photo taken, wouldn't it?
Yeah, because I think they believed that in a photograph, you could capture the spirit, and I can
Yeah,
understand why they would do it. I just they were just funny like that, I suppose. But maybe that's why they done the death mask as well. I don't know.
yeah, no, I agree. I think maybe that was, would be taking it to the next level, wouldn't it?
I suppose it would, yeah.
Yeah, but that was quite interesting as well. And I did find the craze. I found the craze quite interesting.
Yeah, I think that's quite close to home as well, though. That's probably why. See, with the Essex boys as well, that sort of stuff that's quite close to home as well. So we all know that sort of stories.
I think with the Essex boy as well, there's like an air of mystery there as well. It was so horrific.
So I actually remember the news of the Land Rover being found with the people inside blown away. I actually remember watching that as a kid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, see, I don't. But obviously, there's been quite a lot of being from Essex as well. It is part of our history, and there is quite a lot. Every so often, they'll go back to it. There'll be a new documentary made in general, or there'll be a new film made, and so you do become quite familiar with the stories. But there's that element of like what really did happen kind of thing, and I think that's what as well will bring a fascination or an interest. Fascination is the wrong word. An interest into that particular item that's at the True Crimes Museum. I'm not sure whether it's the actual body of the Land Rover. I'm not sure, but either way, it is.
Yeah, I don't think it is, but it's still an interesting subject. And I mean, even maybe Tara will cover the Essex boys on one of her shows or something, because I do know that she knows someone that was all connected in the circles of the two that got shot.
Right, okay.
Because she when younger years and she was going clubbing and stuff, she'd go to the actual club that they all worked out of.
Right. Yep.
So she knows of the circles and the people involved. So so that's even closer, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean there is so much there that you wouldn't be able to cover it all in one show. I would most definitely because Trident Paranormal is going back, isn't it?
Oh yeah, we'll definitely go back to the True Crimes. I do love it there. It's quite a small venue, so we're going to try and go with less people, I think. So,
right, yeah. I would definitely recommend. I mean, I loved it. So if it does come up again, I'll try and jump at the. I mean, I've been going on at you for ages. Let me go to that one.
And now you've been.
I know, and I definitely enjoyed it, and I'm glad out of all the first of the investigations, it was that one. I'm glad of that. But anyone listening that hasn't heard of, because they're open during the day as well to just general public to go in and have a look, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. I don't know too much about the prices or anything, but yeah, you can definitely go along during the day and have a look around the museum. I know they do tours around it as well. The guys there, Joel and Liam, both run the museum, and their knowledge is, well, it rivals Tara's, to be fair.
And that is something. That is something to behold.
Yeah, it is definitely. Okay. So yeah, definitely go down if you get a chance. It's a good
if not, come with Trident Paranormal.
Yep. More come with us more so, because we get the whole museum to ourselves.
Yeah, and we do a paranormal investigation there, which is amazing.
We get to talk to Amelia Dyer. You don't get that on the tour.
Or one of the craze, because this guy that Liam had made communication with, or we had using Liam, bless him, was one of the crazy. What would you call them? Friends, associates.
Okay. Associate, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, it was one. So the fact that so much is there, the possibilities are endless to who we communicate with. So, and also there's so much information around as well. So if you're just interested in like the it's like a serial killer kind of thing, then it's definitely something you should go along to.
Yeah, absolutely. It's fascinating, and they do keep changing their displays as well. So just yeah. I mean, the first time we went, they didn't have the crane stuff there, so it was really
Oh,
good to
really?
get that. Yeah. So
Yeah. Well, next time I go though, I'm well and truly making sure I've got nothing planned for at least a week after, because it is definitely taking it out of me. I'll tell you, the energy level is terrible.
maybe because the energies are of murderers and that. Maybe they use too much of our energy or something. Because even me, I don't normally get affected by spirit or anything like that. But this week, that my sleep pattern's been really terrible, and I've been
Oh yeah,
sleeping a lot.
I've been zombified all day. Then as soon as it's time for me to go to bed, I'm like wide awake.
Yeah.
Oh, what do I do with myself?
I think there's a show right there on the levels of energy.
Yeah, honestly, it is. It does have an effect, and I think it depends how you work as well as a person. Because some people work with energy and they don't even realise. For example, I keep going back to Liam, but I mean, I did say to him, do you work? No, don't do no mediumship, nothing. But as soon as he started, I could feel it off him.
Yeah.
I could feel it off of him. And it was really strong as well. And I'm thinking, well, for someone who says they don't, it becomes sensitive or however you want to put it, very, very strong. So I think some people do it without even realising.
I think they do. I mean, even myself, for example, I've been told, obviously, that I've got the gift, but then I think everyone has. But the more you work with the paranormal, the more open you come to it. So
yeah.
There are times when I can do the whole precognition stuff. I've actually given people readings as well before now, and I've been quite spot on accurate.
Yeah.
But I mean, even down to, I mean, a friend of mine asked me to do a reading, and I was like, well, I've never done one face to face, but I'll give it a go. And the only two things that I could come up with was a red carnation, which she could make sense of, and all of a sudden I just got this blinding headache over one side of my head, and I said it's blocking everything. I can't get anything more than that. And she said, well, the person you're picking up on was a nan, and she had dementia. So that would explain to me the whole headache and then not remembering anything. So that in itself was enough validation for her.
Yeah.
And the red carnation was because she wore one to a funeral, which is not something you would normally wear to a funeral. So that sort of, again, is more validation for her. But that was all I got. And even though it was small details and two or three little tiny bits, that was enough for her, really. So, I mean, I can do it, but I don't want to go down that route, if that makes sense. I don't want to learn how to use it because I don't want to do that. I'm more interested in the investigation, not mediumship. So that's sort of the way I want to go. So at the moment, I'm going to leave the mediumship stuff because I don't want to learn that yet. Maybe in a few years' time, when I'm more comfortable and ready to do that. But I just struggle with it, to be fair, because I question everything. And
that's one thing I do know about it. Do know about you, sorry, is that you do look for the most logical explanations. But then even saying that, if I said to you it was either a spirit or the zebra that drove the Land Rover into the bicycle over the water into the zoo, I think maybe you'd even prefer the zebra story than the spirit story. Is it?
Well, I just think you just got to look at the more logical explanations. Like, for example, that story I told you about my precognition with Tara pulling up. Now, it's more likely that she pulled up and then drove off around the block than it is to say that I experienced a time slip or a precognition, because it's the more likely of the two. So I'll go with that.
Even if Tara said that she didn't.
Yeah, even though Tara said she didn't, but it's still the likely of the two. But I still keep an open mind. I don't know what that was, and I'm inclined. I do want to believe her. So if she says she didn't drive away, then she didn't drive away. But then I don't know. I really don't know what happened then.
But it does make for, it is interesting, and it is good. It is, do you know what it is? One thing to want to only believe the most logical, but it's also good to be quite open-minded, which I will say you are. You will look at both sides, and although you may still go with the logical, you still explore the unlogical as well, which, makes our conversation so interesting.
You've got to, and sometimes it is better just to sit on the fence and let other people decide, because people are going to do that anyway. So it's just better to say, well, these are the facts. It could be this and it could be that. What do you reckon? And throw it out there to other people.
Yes.
I think not decide myself.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you one thing I will say. Before I done the show on precognition, I did kind of put it out to my friends. And some of the responses that I got from what their interpretation or what their opinion was really fascinating. A lot of them was a bit mind-blowing. I had to reread to kind of follow what they were saying because it's not something I've really looked into before. It's not something that I've actually experienced. I'm still quite a newbie. So there's lots of it. I mean, the paranormal is so broad. There's so many different kind of criterias and little nooks and crannies of what it covers that I'm discovering new ones all the time. And although this isn't a new concept to me, there was new parts of it that I'd never really come across before. And some of the things that they were sharing with me was absolutely unbelievable. But again, just because I hadn't come across it before doesn't mean I was ever going to dismiss it. And it helps me learn and kind of grow as a researcher as well. If I just only dealt with what I knew, then I would never know any different, and I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing.
Progress.
No, so it is good to kind of be very open, and that is, even if you say to me, I would rather she drove round the block. I'd rather believe she drove around the block for no apparent reason, turned up and just went for a drive again, just for the sake of it, than anything else. I know that you would have looked at the other alternatives as well.
Yeah, so, you've got to, and that's what investigating's all about. To be fair, I can present the facts to people, and then other people can make their mind up. And
everyone has different perceptions as well. Everyone comes to different conclusions. Yeah, even from the same evidence. I mean, how many different variations have we got of the same thing? And it's really kind of throwing it out there, and it's kind of like a bold statement. But even religion. Yeah. It's all down to interpretation, and everyone's got their own interpretations of certain things, and not everyone's going to agree. And it's the same with some of the things that go on within the paranormal. You can have all the evidence in the world and put it to someone, and they'll always find something that isn't logical, and will have a logical explanation for it.
I mean, not that I've actually listened to the show yet. I'm gonna go back and have a listen to your precognition show, and just laugh at the long words and you trying to pronounce them.
Oh, it's okay. No, Andy Mercer, he was my saviour. He will be my saviour. That man will save me from plenty of times when I'm trying to say something. I just hope he doesn't take as long to correct me as sometimes he does.
What the hell are you talking about, woman?
And I go, what do I mean? What do I mean? Is that the word? Am I saying it right? Even worse when there's people in the chat rooms. I'm saying their names. I'm so conscious. Sin. Is that how you say it properly? Sin. It's like CIN. Of course it is.
Yeah.
How else would you be able to pronounce, CIN? But yeah, I'm terrible.
Anyway, right, we've got 6 minutes left on the show.
Okay. Well, we have a paranormal story. Are you ready?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So. This story is known as the Hook Man. Teenage boy drives his date to a dark and deserted lover's lane for a session of love. It says make out. He turned on the radio for mood music, leaned over to whisper in the girl's ear, and he kissed her. Minutes later, the mood was broken when the music suddenly stopped mid-song. After a moment of silence, an announcer voice come on warning that a convicted murderer, had just escaped from the state insane asylum, which happened to be located within a half a mile of where they were parked, urging that anyone who noticed a man wearing a stainless steel hook in place of a hand should immediately report his whereabouts to the police. The girl became frightened and asked to be taken home. The boy, feeling bold, locked all the doors instead and assured his date they would be safe. Attempting to kiss her again, she became frantic and pushed him away, insisting that they leave. Relenting, the boy jerked the car into gear and spun its wheels as he pulled out of the parking space. When they arrived at the girl's house, she got out of the car, reaching to close it. She began to scream uncontrollably. The boy ran to her side to see what was wrong, and there, dangling from the door handle, was a bloody hook. Dun dun dun. That's my story. You've heard that one before, though, haven't you?
I have. I've heard that sort of version, and there's loads of different types of story like that, to be fair. I think it's urban legend.
It is urban legend. It is. And I think this is more of a put them off situation.
Yeah.
The lurking murderer that's waiting around the corner if you decide to go and do naughties in the woods.
Don't go dogging. That's the moral of the story.
Oh, why would you create that association? Why would you do that? Well, them poor doggers now are going to be constantly looking over their shoulders and not for the reason they did before.
Exactly. That's it. Yeah. That's the moral of the story. Don't go dogging.
Oh, I think that's perfect. Perfect end. Perfect note to end on.
Absolutely. So I would like to thank everybody for joining us tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure as always. And have a safe week and see you all again next week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
The T-Files here at Parasearch UK Radio, discussing hauntings from around the world, the facts and the hearsay about each case. Was it real haunting or an elaborate hoax for monetary gain or fame? Listen and discuss with me, Terra Palmer, here at the T-Files.
Join Paul Rook live at 9 p.m. for the Trident Paranormal Show, where he will be discussing and explaining everything from the strange, weird and the paranormal myths and legends. From fact and fiction, we have all on the Trident Paranormal Show.
Join Jay and Teresa Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. with their paranormal hindsight from across the USA, only on Parasearch UK Radio.
Join Richard Clements on Thursday nights at 10 p.m. for the Mystery Hour, only on Parasearch UK Radio.
You are now listening to The Great Paranormal Debate with me, Kerry Ann.
And don't forget me, Paul Rook.